we have two AMAs kind of going on at the same time, everybody. So that's kind of explains the turnout. We're like splitting attention, totally fine. For those of you who are kind of watching both or just listening in or whatever, we'll have it recorded. I've messed up, I think. I definitely messed up the last recording because I was on a laptop. I'm back on my setup though, so I probably can't mess this one up, and we'll be able to get it uploaded. The good news is Figgy and Magnus have started the Wiretap podcast back up. They're doing a little bit shorter episodes, and they're going to try to do that on a more frequent cadence, so that people can kind of like get updates on stuff that's going on the off weeks where we don't really do community calls. So the other AMA UTXE is the Boba. It's on the Boba account, I think. Hold on, let me send it. It's on this account. So if anybody is more interested in that than whatever we're talking about, I guess you can go over there and do that. But we'll just kind of kick this thing off. People will trickle in. If not, we'll post recording. So some governance updates. Yeah. There he is. What's up, Wolf Slayer? Okay. So now that KP's here, we'll really kick it off. So governance updates. The big one recently, a proposal for the new curve gauge on the new Butterfly ETH pool passed, if I'm remembering correctly, recently. So shout out to everybody who voted on that. It was good to just get that new gauge up post migration. Funky, is there anything else we need to add regarding that? I don't think so, right?
Nope, nothing from there. Might start putting on it at some point. So if you're looking to get some yield on your unlocked Butterfly, an option.
Yeah, but everybody knows that you should just be locking your Butterfly anyway. So yeah. Okay. Next thing that is a big governance update is the proposal for the next Pyrex protocol. We'll actually talk about the proposal in depth whenever we get to the Pyrex section. I'll let KP kind of talk about what they've been working on, some of the ideas. I know we've gotten a few questions over the past couple of days that I think are pretty interesting. But just for now, I will share the proposal in the town hall text chat for those who haven't seen it. Basically, we kind of outline Pyrex Gmx, what it's going to look like, a little bit about how it works. And then I don't know what the timing looks like. When are we planning to kind of move this to Snapshot, Funky?
2 days.
So 2 days.
So
cool.
Yeah,
so
probably tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow.
Cool. So plans to go to Snapshot tomorrow. If anybody has any like questions or feedback that they feel are really important for the proposal, you can either ask them here later in the Pyrex section, or you could just go to the proposal itself and leave feedback. It looks like we've already gotten a few comments on there. Mostly it's just people who are excited. And then there's one question regarding how this compares to the Plutus integration that I believe is similar, but I know KP has answers for that, so we'll go through that a little bit later. Next, let's talk about RL Butterfly updates. So we just had our third distribution earlier this week. I cannot remember the day for the life of me. I think it was like a few days ago. What day was it? It was on the 20th, which was, Tuesday. So it's every Tuesday. I'm dumb. I should have known that anyways. But it's paying out on average 6%, a little over 6% ETH APR, which is awesome, especially given that the market has been not very favorable as of late. And we've been getting a lot of questions too about sort of the breakdown between the Butterfly distribution and the ETH rewards and stuff like that. Funky has a dashboard that breaks this stuff down to the dollar amount per Butterfly. I mean, so if you're looking for specifics on that, you can literally just go to dune.com/funky/redacted and find like all of the actual queries and look at the data for those who are wanting like more granular information. And Funky, it seems like you keep adding stuff every once in a while to that dashboard anyway, so it's like getting a little more granular. But you can see all the different like APR data. You can see just raw numbers if that's what you're interested in, etc. It's pretty straightforward and easy to follow. But like sort of ignoring the first distribution, which was just like super big because it was accounting for like backdated rewards. I mean, the past two distributions, the one on the 6th and the one on the 20th, have been about at par with each other, even though the market was doing two very different things at the times those revenues were sort of earned and being distributed and stuff. So not too bad. Funky, anything you want to add on policy revenue stuff? I don't know if there's any big updates there.
No, I think you're right. I think users, regardless of the market, will kind of see as a very stable APR just because the butterfly incentive rewards are the bulk of it, and um, as rewards increase or decrease, you'll have a corresponding change in butterfly price. So I think what we're seeing now is a kind of a good representation of what we'll probably be seeing in the future.
Cool.
But yeah, really cool to see, V2 actually working and distributing that real yield that Sammy's been chatting about for so long.
Yeah. Hashtag real yield. Joel said this is close to a buy signal, yet not enough. I don't know if that's a good thing that you said or bad, but we'll just take it as a good thing. But outside of that, I think that's pretty much all of the big RL butterfly updates. And I know like people have been asking us to try to like make the process of distributions and such more transparent. We're trying to figure out ways to like make it more obvious, like when a distribution is about to happen, or make it easier for people to follow. I'm thinking what we'll probably eventually do is just set up a channel here in the Discord that's like announcement only, and it's only regarding like distributions and stuff. That way we can just put all the relevant information in there every other week and try to make it easy as possible to follow. It's like one of those things where some people are more on top of it than others, and so it's like hard to please everybody's like needs for keeping up with distributions and such. So the best way to keep up with everything though is just hang out in the Discord. And then
And
eventually
if
we'll
there's
set up a
any
channel.
suggestions also on like how you guys would want to see it, then feel free to like just like let us know in general, because we can figure out stuff on the UI and the server, whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. Like just keep giving us feedback on that and we'll figure out we'll like find a happy medium. Eventually we'll land on something that covers most people. And speaking of, I don't, this has nothing to do with RO Butterfly itself or whatever, but it has to do with the UI. Greenbergs and Co. and the rest of the front end devs were able to get out the support for mobile, which has been something that a minority of users have been like really asking for. There was actually more people using mobile than I thought there was. There's a lot of mobile degens out here, which is crazy to me. I couldn't imagine using like half of these apps on mobile. So shout out to all those people, and also shout out to Greenbergs and the rest of the front end peeps for like getting that knocked out. I know it was a little later than expected, but better late than never. So thanks everybody for the patience on that. But if you're somebody who's been waiting to migrate or waiting to lock or whatever because you needed mobile support, you should have that now. And if you have any like feedback or you see any bugs or anything like that, as always, just like open a support ticket and report those. That way we can get them fixed. Moving on to hidden hand updates. So we've been a little active on the hidden hand front, especially this week. So or was Idle last week? Idle might have been last week. I can't remember. But either way, both Idle and Saddle have now have hidden hand markets. The Idle is, I think, coming on the community call not next week, but the week after. So they'll be on here to kind of discuss like what their product is, how it works, what people will actually be bribing Idle holders for, and all the rest. So that'll be something to look out for. But basically, they build a product suite that's mostly focused around, I think, like yield aggregation and such. But they have like these perpetual yield tranches, which are like capital pools, which sort of automatically generate and tranche yields and risks based on a bunch of market neutral yield strategies across like lending income, trading fees, and all the rest. So they have these like senior and junior tranches that I believe are the tranches that people will be able to bribe, but they're the experts on this, not me. So whenever they come on the community call, for anybody who has questions, you'll be able to ask them, and then they'll also make sure to walk through the product.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Timmy.
Right. And then like when we were sort of in this phase of just figuring out the next few launches, there's still a few more to go. The Idle one was like pretty interesting and came first because one thing that we're gonna start doing now when we start thinking about, like new hidden hand markets is like is there bribe demand, right? And I guess like the average person would assume that the dexes would have more demand than, you know, something like a yield aggregator. But we took a look at the forum, and there's projects like Angle and some other stablecoin providers that see like the benefits of sort of like the idle gauges in terms of like dollar per rewards. And I think it'll be a bit more of a niche market since it's not sort of like a permissionless platform the same way the dexes are. But all in all, I think like we're in a good spot with that one, just in terms of like finding established partners that are comfortable with the dApp and will like, you know, like use that market specifically. So that's sort of like the rationale behind that. And I'll let you talk about the saddle one.
Dope. And yeah, so Saddle is the other market that went live. So we've been having conversations with them for a little bit now. For those of you who are not familiar, Saddle is just it's a stable swap protocol that's multi-chain, very similar to Curve. And basically they have Vote Escrow SDL, which is their token, and protocols will be able to bribe various gauges on Saddle. I think the advantage here for like new protocols coming in is that it'll probably not probably, it certainly is like less competitive than bribing for curve gauges and such. So some of the protocols who feel, you know, priced out of participating in the curve wars maybe can kind of do something similar on Saddle instead, which I believe is part of the rationale here. And I know we had some conversations behind the scenes about, you know, some protocols that they have lined up to actually bribe on there. So this isn't one we kind of did blindly. It was one that we also did some biz dev like due diligence on, and they believe that they have bribe demand based on some conversations they had and then some conversations we had. So it should be interesting. It's live now. We'll see the bribes roll in, I imagine, over the next several weeks as like some of those protocols get set up and you know get their bribe budget or whatever approved through governance. And I don't know, Sammy, you might have more details than me on this, but there were at least like a handful of protocols that were interested in bribing on Saddle, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So where idle there we saw Angle and a couple others there. On the saddle front, we were looking at some of the more, well, obviously now there's the Frax BP, and we know sort of how they are with these type of things. People compare against the Frax BP. There's also like a few less liquid or maybe like projects that are a bit later to the curve wars, Dola, and sort of people in that realm that can leverage saddle like better than they can leverage curve. So uh yeah, saddle is also like a super interesting one, and like, you know, they've designed the system to also be multi-chain. So in the future, like saddle will be one of those ones that exists across multiple gauges. I'm sure our friends from like my and people in their sort of like competitive domain, like that will be up their alley.
So yeah, and I think that's pretty much it for new partners right now. I don't know if there's any coming soon that we can tease, but if not, I can kind of go into some of the metrics lately. Is there any other stuff like hidden hand partner wise that we want to tease before I do like revenue numbers and all the rest? Or are we good?
Well, the boba AMA is right now, so I know we were just saying like half the people are here, half the people are there. Like that's also part of the L2 plans. So, you know, I think since the last community call, we were teasing Plutus, um, and you know, moving to Arbitrum with Hidden Hand, and then we'll post the recording for like the boba one if anyone wants to hear. But the TLDR is that, like, you know, we're figuring out like sort of like a grant and an expansion to boba, and they have like an exciting announcement which I really hope is public now, about like them becoming like an AVAX L2. If I leak that, I'm sorry, but that's,
I
you
might
know,
have to, I might have to bleep that out in the recording. I have no idea if that's
yeah,
public.
let's make
They
sure that
announced
it's
it yesterday, I think.
Okay,
okay.
then we're good.
Yeah, so you know, we talked about Trader Joe a couple weeks ago, and everyone was super excited. And you know, just in general, like a bunch of the AVAX stuff, like, you know, the C chain is like a complicated thing. And I think like now with like Boba sort of coming in to try and fill a lot of those AVAX blocks, like it's a really interesting place for us to like, you know, play. And luckily we have some like really dope partners with like um Boba and Trader Joe and all the sorts.
So, yeah, and like the momentum of Hidden Hand has been really sick to see. Like I'm looking at the Hidden Hand weekly bribe volume right now, and last week it looks like we had an all-time high in bribe volume of about $650,000, just under that, like 648,000, which is insane. Like especially given volatility in the market as of late. It seems like everything's been down only, and people are still actively bribing. So if I say this, I feel like every time we do a community call, but like if Hidden Hand is able to pull, these types of numbers and do this type, have this type of traction in a bear market where people are like spending more frugally and trying to be trying to be as cheap as they can, like I'm very optimistic about our prospects, like going into a market where things are a little more stable. It doesn't even have to be a bull market; it just needs to be like less volatile to the downside. So that's like really sick to see. And it looks like the bribe fees from that were about 30K, something like that. That went to us. So things are looking good on the Hidden Hand side. Really excited about the traction, and it'll be nice whenever we can actually get multi-chain and see what bribe demand looks like across some of these other projects, and hopefully projects are starting to get more comfortable at, or more efficient at feeling out whether or not they actually have bribe demand. I think one of the things that's changed a lot from several months ago to now is that protocols that thought people would be interested in bribing some of their stuff, it's not that they were wrong, it's that they maybe like misread the demand or misread the opportunity. So even some of the earlier like Hidden Hand partners who thought bribes for a certain thing would pop off are now like figuring out, what, maybe we should pivot a little bit and actually create stuff that's more useful for people, so they can bribe and actually get a lot of value out of it. So I think things should heat up even more over the next several months, hopefully. Moving on to Pyrex stuff. So as we talked about a little bit earlier, we sort of introduced, Sammy and KP went on a podcast, what was it, last week, the 15th? Yeah. So last week, to kind of discuss what was next for Pyrex. It was a GMX oriented podcast, and of course GMX is the next protocol that will be integrated, given that this proposal passes in governance, and that's what the community wants. So KP, if you don't mind, if you're feeling up to it, could you give us a little bit of an introduction about what you guys have been working on over the past couple of months?
Thanks, Funk. I guess I could take 10 minutes out of my extremely busy and productive morning to but yeah, thanks everybody for being here during these terrible times. But no, I mean, as far as the market, not for Redacted.
I thought he was about to say somebody died again.
We don't talk about that anymore. I mean,
Okay.
Still miss him, but yeah. Man, so for Pyrex Convex, just a quick little bit there. We're still seeing something like 4 to 5% growth in deposits week over week, something like that, which is pretty awesome, considering the amount of deposits, or the CVX.
Big deposit. Did you see that?
I know, yeah, dude, absolutely incredible. Because we don't even. I mean, we were talking about this last night when we met. We had like a little team meeting last night, and we're just kind of reminiscing over, the wondering whether we'd be able to compete with some of these other protocols because we don't have incentives, but users are still seeing the value, and yeah, because the deposits speak for themselves. So yeah, just thank you everyone. But yeah, okay. So touching real quickly on Pyrex Gmx. Not sure if you heard the podcast, but so for Pyrex Gmx, basically you could deposit either GLP or GMX, and we will mint you tokens representing those GMX tokens, which are Px GLP and Px Gmx. And the idea is very similar to Pyrex Convex, where we will add additional functionality and other features, and more utility on top of those tokens, because GMX is already busy building out their own product, but it's our job as, I guess, other protocols in the ecosystem to add additional value to those ecosystems, and they're really excited. We've been working with X and others from the GMX team to to make sure that whatever we do ends up, adding a lot of value to the ecosystem. Or you could tell I had a little bit to drink, and I'm sorry for that.
To
But yeah,
clarify, I
anyway.
think you mean you had something to drink last night and it's
Yeah,
still,
not
yeah,
this morning.
you didn't start the day off strong, to be clear.
Hey, hair of the dog and all.
He's
But
10
yeah, so
mimosas deep before the community call.
but yeah, it's not just just like we're not just sharing this and are still developing it. We've already frozen the standard mode code. So you'd be able to manage, deposit the tokens and also manage the assets yourself, as in collect rewards, eventually vote. We're working on vote delegation getting vote delegation in place with the Gmx team. And the code for easy mode is about to be frozen as well. And we just had to address a couple like really minor things because we switched to a new reward distribution system, and but really excited about that. So I guess what's great about freezing those contracts is you might have heard me mention in the past that we've taken a new approach towards reusability and how we could scale our Pyrex this specific Pyrex offering, where we build on top of other protocol tokens like quickly, similar to how we're doing what we're doing for Hidden Hand. And that's really exciting because these efforts, Pyrex Gmx took 2 months, which is a pretty crazy, two or so months, and then that's a pretty crazy reduction in time. And who knows how long the next protocols will take. So, but we're definitely priming and getting ready for scaling as quickly as we can. And so you might, I just said that scaling this specific Pyrex offering. So my point there is we're already eyeing like a version 2 of Pyrex, where we actually build our own proprietary protocol where we manage different primitives. So instead of just or primitive tokens, so instead of just managing other protocols tokens and kind of being this sort of overlay, where we kind of like augment the tokens a little bit, or not a little bit, but offer value in addition to their tokens, we're actually going to be building a protocol from the ground up. And yeah, really grateful for Sammy and Karn for strategizing that while we've been working. Because we're going to take more specialized roles where Seiji, Greenberg, myself, and our other devs are going to focus specifically on the development side. God, am I
And
really okay? Go for Sammy.
maybe I'll add something there. Yeah, so I think like what KP said was right. I think there's I was telling the guys this, right? Like, getting $6 million in convex is like super impressive, right? Because it's a volatile asset. Obviously, it's one of those assets that leans towards the illiquid side. And like the problem is though, like from a value extraction point for RL holders, for the DAO reserves, for everyone, right? We we want to make sure that like we as a protocol are getting lots and lots out of our efforts, right? And I think that's just like the obvious reason why like a lot of projects just opt for USDC, ETH and stuff like that, because the caps on TVL are much higher, right? And the value extraction is a lot higher. So I think with Pyrex too, which we'll see what the timeline on that looks like. It might be part of like Redacted V3, or maybe we'll put it out by itself, whatever the case is. Like the goal is to actually
This
to like
guy,
come up
he
with
just said
novel.
redacted V3, bro.
Well, it's not like it's coming out this year, so I'll say that.
Yeah.
And like the goal is to create like our own novel yield strategies that let us sort of move further down the stack, like we're trying to do with everything, and be less dependent on people, be less dependent on the success of other protocols for the success of our token and the success of our protocol, right? So the same reason CVX is successful because of the amount of stable coins they have in, like we can make Redacted successful because of the amount of stable coins and ETH we have in our system for being repurposed for a different reason. So that's the only thing I'll add on to what KP said. But yeah, the new audit is the new audit is getting done by Verilog and I think Code Arena. There'll be a Code Arena soon for whoever's interested in that, and it's really exciting because like KP said, that we're making the code like super composable. So hopefully we can start hanging out Pyrex integrations the same way we're doing the hidden hand ones. As you've seen, we've been trying to get out like 2 a month or something. So yeah.
Yeah, and really quick, like before we answer some of the questions, I saw like a couple like earlier in the chat. Maybe it'd be helpful to. I know we walked through this in the actual proposal, but there are people like me who can't read, and would prefer to hear it on the community call. So like, why was GMX a good candidate for Pyrex, and why did we kind of decide to go with them? And KP or Funky or anybody can kind of take this one.
Is Card here?
No, Karn is doing the Boba community call, so
Oh,
you'll
okay,
have to cover for Karn
Yeah, probably Funky.
or Funky.
I think Colton makes a good point. We say it in the community, the Commonwealth post. What's really cool about GMX is, well, first of all, it's an L2, right? So it's growing in a vertical, which is itself growing a lot. But the second thing is GMX is a interesting exchange in itself, which is growing very quickly and is kind of leading the kind of the trend in terms of its product offering. And the last thing is, well, there's two other things. Is one, it offers really cool yield in ETH, and the last thing is that when we're looking at, I think, different Pyrex potential Pyrex integrations, it's how can we look at the kind of tokenomics and how can we use those tokenomics to create value. And the kind of big value add for Px GLP and Px Gmx is that, in case you don't know, Px Gmx is the governance. Well, Gmx is the governance token for Gmx. GLP is kind of a LP token for all of the kind of different assets that you can trade in Gmx. If you hold GLP or if you stake Gmx, you'll get yield in ETH, and you'll also get yield in a different token called ES Gmx, which is Escrow Gmx. And Escrow Gmx is essentially the same thing as GMX, except that you can't trade it. And if you do want to trade it, you have to vest the token for a year by locking up the tokens which you use to acquire it. So because of the kind of reward profile, actually, one last thing is for GMX and ES Gmx, in addition to get the ETH and ES Gmx rewards, that when you stake them, there are also these things called multiplier points, which are kind of like not tokens in a sense. They kind of like accrue to your account, and once you unstake the GMX or the ES Gmx, you lose those multiplier points. So by building Px Gmx, Px GLP, we're able to provide better liquidity for the ES Gmx rewards, which are tokenized as Px Gmx, and the multiplier points, which are never lost because the GMX and ES Gmx which are staked in Pyrex is never unstaked. The ES Gmx will never be vested. So essentially, it's a growing protocol on a growing chain, and it is exploring new primitives, which we're excited about. But also, it gives us kind of these abilities to create a lot of value for the users.
So, anything you feel you need to add to that, KP?
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Funky.
Not that you have to.
Yeah.
Not that you have to. Just what I was just asking.
So yeah. All right. Let's see what I could BS real quick. No, but I guess now during the bear market is a great time to also. I mean, it's always never the wrong move to bet on the team. Actually, it's probably the best thing you could do. But just super impressed with the GMX team because they, I mean, yeah, as mentioned on the podcast for a bit, like as successful as they are, yeah, they're super collaborative and have just been really open to working with us on making sure everything is in line to launch Pyrex Gmx and other things too that would benefit GMX's users and Pyrex Gmx's users. Yeah.
Cool. And Joel asked this. I guess this is a little bit more of a technical question regarding the implementation, but yes, for Px Gmx, would there be a way to use GMX's transfer wallet feature and transfer?
There's not.
Okay, so no, I don't fully understand the context of the question because I'm not in the weeds. But is there like a reason for that? KP, is it mostly just like a technical constraint or?
Transfer to the Pyrex. Well, also, okay. So is Joel talking about transferring from his account to the Pyrex contract? Because yeah, those clarifications would be great. Because I guess assumed that he was talking about our contract. Oh, okay. Well, no. Well, yeah. In that case, then no, there isn't, because then you wouldn't be executing the logic, the deposit logic that we have in our contract in order to mint the Px Gmx tokens and stuff, or Px GOP tokens, whichever.
I think as well for the wallet transfers, you have to do to an empty account. I think
Yeah, he's talking about like doing a deposit using their transfer, like their account transfer, like GMX's contracts transfer, like balance stuff.
Okay, got it.
But no, yeah, what Funky said
You
too.
wouldn't need to. It's already a wrapper around it, so like you're kind of exercising that feature whenever you transfer your tokens, right?
I think he's just asking if there's a way to deposit in that way. At least he said yes, or right. That makes sense. But yeah, Olaf had a question too, but it wasn't in this channel. But yeah, Joel, if you want to clarify further.
Was Olaf's question the one about Plutus, or
It was actually the one about ESGMX and what would happen to those. So, so what's going to happen with ESGMX is, we are going to be enabling you to claim those rewards, but they won't be in the form of ESGMX, and you won't have to vest them or anything. So what's going to happen is we're going to tally up the amount of ESGMX that is claimable by users, and when you're ready to claim them, we will mint to you Px Gmx. And so Px Gmx is the token you get when you deposit GMX, but we're also going to use it to represent ESGMX. And in my answer to Olaf, I said that we're going to be seeding liquidity for Px Gmx. So one thing about Px Gmx is that when you deposit GMX or you mint Px Gmx as a result of claiming your ESGMX, you won't be able to ever redeem those underlying assets. So it's similar to Convex in that once you deposit those assets, you're going to get the Px Gmx token, and that's going to represent your GMX. But you're still going to get, for the most part, the same benefits, like the rewards and the voting and stuff like that. And on top of that, we're going to provide liquidity. And I'm not sure if we're going to use Curve or what, but if it's similar to Pyrex Convex, we're going to seed a liquidity pool where you'll be able to exchange your Px Gmx for, I don't know, like ETH or something. Maybe Funky could touch on that. But oh yeah, and also just answering Olaf's question wholly. So when I say seed liquidity, I'm not saying that we're going to be providing liquidity one for one. We're just going to be providing a fixed amount of liquidity in the beginning, and then we'll probably continue to figure out how to contribute to that over time. Similar to what we're doing right now with Pyrex Convex.
Yeah. So like one of the things we talked about with the GMX team was that we would provide this liquidity for the Px Gmx, and what we do is we'll have a Px Gmx ETH pool, and we'll be getting the funds for that through a potential either through bonding or through a treasury swap. We're kind of looking at both options right now. But that basically will mean that well, first of all, Redacted will have a kind of skin in the game by having a certain amount of GMX and GMX in Pyrex, but also allow people who get the Px Gmx to sell it if they desire.
Cool. Hopefully that answers all of those questions. Making ESG GMX liquid immediately is a big value add. Okay, so now that the more technical questions are answered, another question that came up a lot after the announcement, I think somebody might have asked about it earlier in the town hall text chat. I don't remember, but a big question we've been asked a lot is regarding the differences between Pyrex Gmx and the Plutus Gmx sort of integration that they have, and like what are some of the key differences there that we can outline.
So I think Plutus doesn't credit you for the ES Gmx. Instead, they top you up with extra Plutus rewards. The one thing I'd say about the Plutus rewards is that they don't scale with TVL, whereas if you're in Px GLP or Px Gmx, the rewards will be the same for everybody regardless of TVL. That's the main difference for. And I guess the other kind of technical difference as well is that with Plutus, you have to deposit GLP itself, whereas with Px GLP, you'll be able to enter with either GLP or any GMX supported token.
Cool. And I'm not sure if you added this on, but obviously I think Plutus has dedicated a large amount of like token incentives to their integration. Of course, with Pyrex, we tend not to do that. And I think like we were kind of talking about this earlier about Pyrex CVX, and it almost feels like there's something cleaner about a protocol that doesn't like heavily incentivize its yield with an extra token. I feel like and a lot of the times the extra yield is not that much higher such that it's worth the hassle to have to actually like claim that yield and sell it and farm it and all the rest. And so I think there's something nice and reassuring about Pyrex CVX in particular that that people latch onto, and I think that's why we're starting to see a lot more large deposits roll in, like the ones earlier today and stuff. And we kind of mentioned earlier the 6 million number or whatever, but I think what's like more impressive is when you talk about it in percentage of supply. And so like right now, Pyrex CVX has over 1% of the total CVX supply, and that's only increasing. So that's nice to see. There's a lot of conversation going on in the town hall text chat. I don't know how much of it needs to be like brought up for the recording or not. Like particularly there's a question about the Px Gmx pool. It doesn't seem like we're going to have one. Is there anything we want to outline there about like pools and reasons for picking certain pools over others?
So when we were discussing with the GMX team, they indicated a preference for us not to pair with GMX, so not having a Px Gmx pool. And that kind of makes sense because unlike say Px CVX and CVX, which have a similar value, over time, it's expected that the value of one Px Gmx will probably be worth more than a GMX just because of the multiplier points, in Pyrex itself. That's what's kind of really cool about, smaller users like myself who relate to the GMX party as opposed to people who've been staking for, months, is that I can kind of benefit in the collective multiplier points of all the Pyrex GMX in all of the GMX in Pyrex. So you have that kind of additional value right there. So those two kind of things, we'll probably be pairing with a different token.
Cool. And there's a lot of conversation going on, like comparing the sort of Plutus integration to the Pyrex Gmx one. So anybody who like wants to come read this conversation later, feel free. But we don't have to hash it all here. Okay, so is there anything else really that we want to touch on regarding Pyrex Gmx, or are there any other questions that we can answer while we have everybody here on the call? I'll wait a second for people to type. If not, KP's just gonna have to tell us a joke. Somebody said De Niro ? KP literally left the stage. De Niro ? Nothing to talk about regarding De Niro for a while. So, and if Sammy unmutes, I'm just gonna mute him back so he can't say anything about it. How will we fund the? UTXE asks, how will we fund the pool, the Px Gmx ETH pool? Like, how are we going to spin that up?
So like, if you look at the V2 tokenized proposal, we have a lot of pull submissions, and these pull submissions, they're earmarked for a whole bunch of different things, like incentivizing products, which we don't do because the products are good enough, but also through bonding as well. So if you were looking at the Redacted Twitter, you probably saw that wait, I don't know if this is public actually. Never can correct me. But yeah, we have Butterfly that we can use for Treasury Swaps with protocols, or we can use bond for tokens directly.
Are you good, Funky? Did you just get kidnapped or something?
Can you guys still hear me? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, so basically we have Butterfly which we can use for Treasury Swaps or bonding. Treasury Swaps is definitely preferable because the DAO we'd be swapping with hopefully won't dump, but yeah, we have some firepower to provide liquidity for the new products.
Yeah, I think if you do a treasury swap, you're not allowed to dump, or like you get launched into space or something bad. I
mean,
don't know.
GMX has done treasury swaps with other protocols, so I guess we can take that. Rage did a swap, and I think Plutus did a swap as well. So we're talking with the Gmx team basically.
Yeah, gotcha. Ark said anyway, thanks. Check the recording for updates. Past my bedtime. Yeah, man, go to bed. Enjoy your sleep. KP, don't be dramatic and leave the stage like that. Come on, man. What's all that about? He's typing in. He's doing it again. Let's just parade KP around for laughs. This guy is crazy. All right. Cool. Well, there's no like other big questions about Pyrex Gmx. Is there anything else anybody on the stage wants to touch on? Like, are there any dev updates we want to give regarding anything you guys have been up to?
No, I think we're good. Just one update. We'll be integrating with Bone Protocol in the next week or so. Next few weeks. I guess that's another update that people didn't know yet. Yeah.
I didn't want to leak that. So.
Yeah, that was a light leak, I guess. We'll go with it.
the-
He didn't say the
about the-
protocol.
What about the reinvest button?
Yeah, we will also be launching a reinvest button on our on the RL claim page.
Cool. UTXE asked about what about expert mode for Pyrex CVX? I believe we are finishing up some like stuff on the logistics side. So soon-ish. Still, like, I think everything on the dev side, the UI side is ready to go. There's some logistics stuff that we are figuring out. So soon enough, it's coming. Sooner rather than later, hopefully. But yeah. Cool. Well, if there's nothing else,
All right. Hold up.
Oh, here
I
we
only
go.
told this one to the team, but it's a gem that's close to my heart. Wait, did I already say this on it? All right, maybe it's a different people, but what has two cheeks and kills people?
What?
All right, you know what? I'm not even gonna go through with the punchline. This is too embarrassing.
No, say it. Go ahead. Say it.
Not here.
Oh, you coward. He was going to say ass cheeks. So crickets in the chat, everybody. Yeah. Unbelievable.
So that was week 1 joke, no?
Yeah, I think it was actually. If he told that joke before and anybody remembers, let us know. That's insane. Oh, an assassin. My bad. I literally ruined the joke. Still crickets anyway. The assassin is actually like worse. No, he didn't say the joke, Magnus. That's like the worst part about this. He like started it and then he left the stage during the punchline. Unbelievable, this guy. Is he even in the stage at all anymore? Did he completely leave the call? He completely left the stage. I think that's just because he doesn't know how to get off the stage, so he just left the call completely.
Every time he mutes, he just leaves he just closes
I know,
this.
dude. This guy's insane, bro.
Your opinions do not matter. You know, you just don't listen. Only come on when you want to talk.
All right. Well, now that we got that one out of the way and KP threw his fit for the morning, if there's nothing else that anybody has, we can cut this one a little short and everybody can enjoy their Friday. I know usually we don't have community calls that clash with like other AMAs that are going on. I think this was a one-off, honestly. I think it was originally scheduled for a different day and time, and it got rescheduled, and I wasn't aware of the reschedule. So shout out to everybody who hopped on and listened. I will have the recording up at some point today. Not that anybody here needs it, but in case you see anybody asking about it in the Discord, I'll get it up. I promise. I messed up the last one, but I won't mess up this one. So thanks again, everybody coming on. Cheers, Never Funky Sammy. Thanks for coming on. KP, get up here really quick and apologize for your behavior. No, get up here on stage and say it to everybody. Don't say it in the chat. We want to hear your voice.
God
Tell
damn
everybody
it.
thank you like an adult. What is happening right now?
Just fucking parade me around. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. We
Awesome.
appreciate you all.
Yeah.
Or else.
Appreciate
Did everyone
everybody.
get the joke or no? It's two cheeks and kills you. What? It's an assassin.
I said ass
All right.
cheeks. I completely I'm pretty sure you told that joke week one. I said ass cheeks. I was like,
Assassin.
death by ass
Assassin.
cheeks.
God, you fucking destroyed it. You ruined it.
That's funny. All right. Anyways, everybody enjoy your weekend. Peace out.
So-
Peace.